from the public is able to sort of attend and watch if they would like. And the last thing we need to do is read through our hearing script, which basically just covers the procedure for the hearing. And then we'll jump right into it. So this is the May 5th, 2022 session of the Zoning Hearing Examiner docket. My name is David Sturkey. I'm the Zoning Hearing Examiner for the City of Cincinnati, and I'll preside over this hearing. The case before us today is case number ZH20220058. The purpose of this hearing is to allow applicants and opposing parties to testify and to offer and refute evidence and testimony. This hearing will follow the rules found in the zoning code and the supplemental rules of the Zoning Hearing Examiner. All testimony and evidence that an applicant or any opposing party wishes to offer must be presented at this hearing. Unless testimony or evidence has been presented in writing or digitally prior to this hearing, the hearing will proceed as follows. The applicant, the applicant's attorney, or the applicant's agent will first present the applicant's case. The public will then have an opportunity to speak after the applicant has presented its case. I will give the zoning plans examiner, Wes Menzel, an opportunity to provide any testimony in addition to his staff report. In the event that any party testifies or offers argument in opposition to an application, the applicant will have an opportunity to rebut that testimony and or argument that have been offered in opposition. And then finally, the applicant will have an opportunity to make any closing statements. So for our purposes here today, I will give the applicants with the architecture firm and the principal from the school an opportunity to tell me anything they want about this project, any background, and then of course, anything you think is important for me to know to make my decision, and why you think this project is appropriate and why I should grant the requested relief. And I'll let you all sort of orient that presentation however you would like. So one of you can talk about it, all of you can talk about it, and you can do it in whatever order you would like. After that is complete, I'll then move to Ms. Jacobs-Horton and give her an opportunity to provide any testimony. I'll give Wes Menzel an opportunity to provide any testimony, and then go back to the applicants and the owners, give you all an opportunity to respond to any of those comments from either Wes or Ms. Jacobs-Horton, and then make any closing remarks, and then that will be it. After all presentations have been made, I will close the hearing. Decisions may be expected within 2 weeks. I may limit or exclude any testimony that I deem irrelevant or outside the scope of the application being considered. I may interrupt any speaker to ask questions or make any comments. I may also refuse to consider hearsay testimony. That's generally evidence you want to introduce that consists of statements made by someone who's not present here today. In the event of any technical difficulties or problems with our Zoom technology, I'll do my best to troubleshoot those on the fly, but to the extent there's some defect that prevents us from meaningfully going forward with the hearing today, I may continue or postpone the hearing at my discretion. Okay. The last thing I need to do is just swear in all of our witnesses. So if you intend on providing any testimony here today, making any comments, asking any questions, doing anything other than just strictly observing, then you need to be sworn in under the rules. And so I'll do that now if you know that that's you, that you do want to say something. So if you could take yourselves off mute if you'd like to be sworn in. I need everyone to answer out loud. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, but the truth? I need you to raise your right hand. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So
Yes, I do.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Great. Okay. Thanks, everyone. All right. Who's going to be taking the lead here on the presentation of this case?
I can start and then I'll turn it over to Alan.
Okay. Floor is yours.
Okay. So thank you for hearing this morning. I'll just start by saying that this project has been in the works for several years now, with the school district working with the Hyde Park community to make changes to the school district to meet the needs of the community, and to bring the school up to standards, commensurate with other schools in the district. Throughout that period of time, there's been a lot of coordination between the school district and the local Hyde Park Neighborhood Council. And when the funding became available for this, and we've been moving forward over the last year, there's been several coordination meetings and presentations with that council, with the zoning subcommittee and so forth, and that's resulted in a letter of support from them, which is part of the evidence. From the beginning, we wanted to design this building to fit in with the community, be appropriate, and it so happens that was concurrent with the urban overlay requirements for this area and the sort of the suggestions on how the building would be designed. So there really has never been any friction between what we foresaw as the appropriate design and what the neighborhood sort of wanted. So design has been in that direction in accordance with that. And actually, a couple of the variances that are here are because of that congruence with the existing or complementary nature of the design with the existing architecture. So I think the staff report that was generated does a really good job of going through all the issues and explaining what they are and giving support for all of those. We appreciate that. And I'll just turn it over to Alan to just kind of walk through the key points of the conditional approval and the variances that we're seeking today.
Hi, thanks again for having us here today. I was wondering, is it appropriate to look at any of the imagery that we have submitted? Would that be beneficial?
Absolutely. Yeah, you feel free to share your screen.
Okay. Okay, can everybody see that okay?
Yes.
All right, so I think the thing that we want to talk about most is the site itself. Obviously, the site is very tight relative to the work that we're proposing. And in terms of the area of development, we're somewhat limited. We obviously don't want to build in the front of the building and block the view. I'm sorry.
Sorry to interrupt. Just so you know that we're just seeing a gray screen right now. I'm not sure if that's intentional.
No, it is not. Let's try this again.
You had it there. I saw the site plan right before you stopped.
We'll get there. There we go. How's that?
That's it. That's
Okay,
good.
great. So as I was saying, the front of the building, we don't want to build anything that would block the historic buildings. Obviously, their character is irreplaceable. And on the north side of the site, we have a geothermal field, which limits where we can build. So in terms of the buildable area, we have an area in front of the parking lot, basically behind the 1900 building. And then we have an area that is adjacent to the 1925 building, which is on the west side. So as Chris mentioned, based off of the requirements of Hyde Park, we're dictated in having materials that match. And we would want to do that anyway in order to be contemporary yet compatible to the existing historic architecture. So what you can see here are in the kind of the salmon-y pink colors, the locations of the additions. We have a new gym addition that will get the gym up to the size that's needed for an elementary school of this size. And then off to the west side, you can see the extension of the academic wing, which will add a much needed additional 8 classrooms. Now, if you recall, in terms of the existing site, this is the location of one of the play fields, the basketball courts. And so we are relocating those basketball courts further to the north, which is a good talking point for our first variance, which is adding an 8-foot high fence on this side of the court to prevent balls from going into the basketball court, being a nuisance to the teachers and potentially not safe for the kids. In addition, we are adding an outdoor learning area that is on the west side of the site that is slightly sunken. And that does 2 things. It creates a nice recessed area for the kids to learn outside away from the busy observatory street. And in addition, given the grading and the design of the building itself, it allows the lights to be larger into the cafeteria, bringing some light into the cafeteria, which is about doubled in size now. In terms of the addition itself, you can get a sense here how you can see the cafeteria addition adjacent to the existing cafeteria, an expansion of the existing kitchen, and some much needed larger restrooms. On the first floor, We have an event entry, which would be utilized only during community events to access the gym itself. A wheelchair lift would provide accessibility from the school into the gym. And then 4 of the 8 classrooms on the first floor. The second floor, very similar, 4 of 8 classrooms. Both of those floors would have an extended learning area off of the classrooms to provide some additional instructional space. One thing that we are trying to do is mimicking the existing details as much as is realistic. We're actually utilizing as our basis of design the same windows, and we're utilizing the same detailing in terms of soldier course, lintels, and cast stone sills at the windows. Again, trying to have the new work reflect the old as much as we can, and make it fit into the neighborhood. One thing that's important to note, another one of the variances deals with the height of the building. The height of the building exceeds what's required based off of our desire to match the existing roof form. So that roof form not only allows the addition to tie in and look like it's part of the existing building, but it does double duty. If, let's see, I don't think we actually have a roof plan. It acts as a screen wall that hides the mechanical equipment that is sitting on top of the academic wing, which is another component of the overlay district requirements of making sure that we don't have any mechanical equipment that's visible. We're matching materiality in terms of stone base, brick cladding, and asphalt shingle roofs. The roof was replaced a number of years ago, and it's asphalt, and we would find a material that would match as closely as possible. This gives you a sense of the exterior of the building, seeing how we're tying in the datum of the existing stone band, how the proportionality of the windows have been somewhat reduced because the existing were so large, but the number and the spacing is still reminiscent of the existing building. On the west elevation, you can see how the building sinks down, and these are those 4 windows in the sunken courtyard that allow some light to get into the cafeteria. As we move around the building on the north side, you can see the north end of the academic wing, the north end of the gym with high light, high windows bringing light in. And then on the final side, the east elevation of the gym, a large opening that's a translucent glass panel to bring ample light into the gym itself with a recessed entry. This gives one view from Edwards, and it shows that due to our accentuated parapet heights and the setback of the roof equipment, you'd have to be over 20 feet above the street line to be able to catch a glimpse of the rooftop units. So we're adequately shielding all of the new rooftop units that we're providing on the building. And then this just gives you an aerial overview showing obviously the 1900 building, the 1925 building, and then rendered in white with black line work, you can see the proposed gym as well as the proposed academic addition. And then looking from the other direction, you can see the school, the gym, the existing school in the background, and once again, the academic addition. I don't think we need to really go into much more about this other than on the west side of the site. We have worked with the neighbors to develop this space to the best of our ability to pull the walkway as far away from the fence line as we can. This walkway is important because while this ramps down to get to the academic environment, this would be an accessible access point. We have steps that come up. So this walkway allows accessible access to the remainder of the play surface in the back of the school. So that gives a general overview of the project itself. The only variance that I did not touch on deals with the lighting. So let's talk about that real quick. Sorry, my screen is going a little slow here. So at the sunken courtyard, you can see that we're 20 feet 8 inches from the floor of the sunken courtyard up to the center line of the light fixture. And the light itself, the limit is 20 feet in this district. The existing light fixtures are floodlights mounted up high on the building. So not only are we lowering them from where they are, but they are also much more cutoff fixtures where they will not be projecting light towards the neighbor's yard. In addition, this 20-foot 8-inch dimension is taken from the sunken courtyard. So any light that would spill beyond would actually be hitting the terraced walk that's on the west side of the site. So we think that we're greatly improving the condition in that respect. I believe that has addressed the variance requests. Are there any other questions or anything I can respond to?
I have a couple questions before we get to public comment. So if you'll stay here, the lighting. So the west elevation, what is there? What's on the others? How do I say this? Is that facing residential properties?
It is, yes.
Okay.
And the neighbor is on the call with us as well.
Gotcha. Okay.
So right here, so those fixtures are located roughly here, here, and here. And here is the property line.
Gotcha. Okay. So those are neighbors who have homes fronting observatory, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. Gotcha. And you don't believe that there will be, or you believe that there'll be less sort of light pollution on neighboring properties with these new lights?
Definitely much more light. When we met with Lydia, she had mentioned that the basketball courts, which are currently here, they're commonly utilized, and probably because of the floodlights that provide them ample lighting. So not only is the basketball court moving to the north, but it's not lit in the same way. So we think that that nuisance may be alleviated somewhat. And these light fixtures definitely have much better cutoff than the floodlights, because these are not floodlights. These are decorative downlights meant to illuminate the sunken courtyard only.
Got it. Okay. And you mentioned a few times some equipment, some rooftop utility equipment.
Yes.
Will there be new equipment going on new buildings?
Yes, there will be.
Okay. And is that just on the gym?
There's new equipment on the academic edition as well. Let me go to the aerials here. So as you can see, this mansard roof, which mimics this roof form, is actually, it drops straight back on the back side of the building. So not only is it's doing double duty, it's completing the look of compatibility, but at the same time, it's acting as a screen wall for this outdoor air handling unit. So this unit is lower than the height of this wall, so it cannot be seen at any point from this direction, from the west.
Okay. I think those are all the initial questions I have now. I think I'll let the public and the zoning plans examiner weigh in, unless Mr. Dunford or Mr. Sunderman have anything else they'd like to add to the initial presentation.
No, I don't think I do.
Ms. Sunderman, are you with us?
I do not at this time either. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, let's go to Ms. Jacobs Horton.
Everyone, thanks, Alan and Chris. And thanks for your consistent follow-up. I have just a couple of questions, and I think, Alan, you've answered everything on the sunken classroom. What did you decide on security or cameras or something there that would help in the ongoing safety?
There is a complete camera system that surrounds the property. Obviously, the safety of the students is paramount, and the school has invested quite a bit of money in existing cameras, and there will be new cameras going back in.
Okay, and particularly in that area as well.
Yes,
right?
they're
Yeah,
all around the building.
Okay. Because as we talked, that's probably prone to being a hangout after hours. So, so I do agree on the lighting, by the way. I think that looks very good. But you probably got my note regarding the landscape design. I did have our arborist go over and take a look. I don't know if you received that via email. If not, I can resend.
Yes, we have, and we've conveyed that information to James with CPS. in
Okay.
terms of how they want to move forward.
Oh, okay. So that would be part of, so the landscape design is part of CPS. That's not something that you're doing?
Correct.
Okay. So then I guess James and maybe Jill, you would be involved as well. Any updates that you have on that? If you wouldn't mind keeping me in the loop. I know it's not mandatory for you to keep me on the loop on landscape design, but I would appreciate it if you would. I did see that, and I didn't notice the first time I looked at it, but you're keeping a buffer between the new basketball court and the neighbors there on the west. It looks like it's a grass buffer of some kind. Maybe it's what's existing right today, that there's kind of a grass swatch there. And that tree in the back, I guess it would be great if that could stay as since you are keeping a grass buffer back there. And then any other landscape additions that the arborist provided, I thought were, good ideas. And in fact, you will see that he said he tried to give the most basic, the most, I guess, easy to care for ideas. And then lastly, can you just confirm the setback from the addition to our property line?
Yes, it's 35 feet.
And that is the minimum setback. Is that correct?
That is the minimum. The property itself is very interesting. There was never a front determined. So in my conversations with Wes, well, there was never a front determined, and the property is a perfect square. So if it wasn't a perfect square, the narrow side would be deemed the front. Since there was no front determined and it was a square, we were given the opportunity to determine which side was the front, which side is the rear. We felt it was most advantageous to provide the Edwards side as the front, which would give you the larger setback. The side yard setback would have been 7 foot minimum, 16 total on both sides, much less favorable. So we felt the best thing to do for the community is to provide the 35-foot setback at the west elevation.
That's fantastic. So I didn't realize that. Can you explain that one more time? So where would the 7 feet come into play in the future, for example?
The 7 feet would be on the north side of the site.
Okay.
So the north side is now officially the side yard.
Okay. And then the observatory side is also called a side yard, or so you could conceivably go to 7 feet of the sidewalk?
Well, there's corner lot side yard setbacks, but the rules are a little bit different, and Wes would be much more able to talk about that than I would.
Okay, so, but the good news for us is our 35 feet is now documented for now and into the future.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Ms. Jacobs-Horton. Wes, anything you want to add, or if you want to address someone?
Good morning. I don't know if I really want to add anything. I mean, I wrote a pretty detailed staff report, and Alan and Chris covered a lot of the details. But I mean, I guess I will just highlight the kind of the findings that I concluded at the very end, that the expansion is compatible with the SF6 zoning district, the surrounding neighborhood. It creates a more functional school for the neighborhood. The design is compatible with the urban design overlay guidelines and the existing school design. The variances requested do not appear to create any negative hardships on abutting property owners, which Alan went through those really well. So I don't think I want to add anything else besides that, unless anyone has any questions about it.
Was there a question, Ms. Jacobs-Horton? Did you have a question? I feel like there was something maybe that Wes could address about the setbacks.
Oh, that was just the what is the official, I guess, setback rule now as it pertains to Observatory Avenue, the side of the school? on observatory?
Yeah, so as Alan mentioned, there's a corner side setback rule that for corner lots, and that is actually the side facing observatory would have a setback that's half of the front setback. So that would be 12.5 feet, since the front is 25 feet. So that would be what would be the limit going forward if there's any additional additions. But it sounds like from the urban design standpoint, it wouldn't be, something that would be promoted because the existing facade along that side is, so nicely done and being extended appropriately.
Okay, thanks. So right now, I assume that setback is closer to 25 feet or so on observatory.
I think it's more like 50 or 60 feet or something like that.
Oh, okay. Okay, so it's, all right, thank you.
Yeah. I want to say one more thing. That Alan's explanation of the choosing the front setback was correct, in that in this case on corner lots, the narrower frontage is the front, but in this case they were equal, so they chose the Edwards side as the front, and that makes the west side the rear. Just confirming what he said.
Got it. Okay. All right. I think is Mr. Boyd with the school. Just want to confirm. Thought I picked up on that from some context there.
Yes, he's with the school district.
Okay, got it. All right. Well, let's I'll go back now to the applicants and the school. Is there anything you'd like to say in response to any of the comments from Wes or Ms. Jacobs Horton?
I don't have any response. Like she mentioned, we met a few times and we've had some conversations back and forth. We actually were able to modify the initial design of the sunken courtyard to kind of work better for everybody. So we appreciate that collaboration, appreciate the community's input and support, and we would just ask that the conditional use and the variances be approved.
And got it. Anything else in closing or otherwise before we adjourn?
I just have a question to Mr. Boyd. I know that you may not be the permanent project manager. I don't know if there are any changes to that information.
No, as of now, I'm still the project manager. That there is a possibility that we will be hiring a new director for facilities in Cincinnati Public Schools. And when that happens, he would be the project manager. So I would just hand everything over to him at that point. So.
Okay, thanks. So if you don't mind, I'll keep you and Jill on the loop on anything.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank everyone for their time and their testimony here this morning. I haven't had a chance to review all the application materials, the staff report, and the letter from the Hyde Park Neighborhood Council and their zoning committee. And based on that review and the testimony I've heard here today, I'm going to approve the project. I need to formalize that decision in a written opinion. That's typically what takes the 2 weeks that I mentioned at the beginning of the hearing. As soon as I finish that decision, I put it into a PDF and I email it to everybody who's in the hearing today. So you all will have a copy of that decision really just moments after it's complete. As soon as you have a copy, you can work with Wes to approve all the necessary permitting. Are there any questions about anything with the process or anything else so far?
I have one question, and I don't know if anybody on this call can answer it or not, but we are wanting to submit for plan review in the next few days, which would probably be before the official ruling is issued. Do you know if that is permitted, or if that will if we have to wait until after this ruling before we can submit for plan review?
Wes?
David, I can address that. Yes, you can submit for your plan review and the building code reviewers can start reviewing the project. And then in the meantime, I'll just hold off on my review and approval until I get the written decision from David. And then just make sure all the drawings match up to what was discussed today. And then I'll hit yes on it for zoning.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, I think we'll leave it at that. If you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to reach out to me or to Wes about anything with the project, or if you'd like a status update on where I'm at with the decision, with writing that and getting it to you all, please feel free again to reach out directly to me. I'm happy to provide anyone with an update on the status of that decision. Okay, great. Well, thank you all again for your time and your testimony. Hope you all have a wonderful day. We are adjourned.
Thank you. You too. Thanks, everyone.